This is the FN SCAR 16S. Thanks for watching.
Why don't you calm the down there, guy?
It's getting dark. I gotta go hard and fast.
Okay, we're recording.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching Peace, Love, and Guns. This is, of course, the FN SCAR 16S. It is the 5.56 NATO or 223 version of the SCAR platform made by Fabrique Nationale in Belgium. It was made for Special Forces units to try out and do the pew-pew with overseas. And it's a pretty cool gun. Picking it up, what I can say is, man, it feels good. It feels light. Maybe, I don't know, something about it makes it feel lighter than an AR-15. So the weight is 7¼ pounds unloaded. I have a fully loaded magazine here, which increases the heft just a little bit. But man, I mean, it feels really good. This is, of course, another gun that's being lent to us by a generous, unnamed benefactor. We appreciate you letting us shoot your gun. The vertical foregrip does not come with this rifle. This is a modification that he prefers. And yeah, let's just take a look at this thing. So it is very easily adjustable for length of pull. And you have a little bit of adjustment for comb height. You've got a little button there, and it allows you to get a higher cheek weld for optics or whatnot. I actually feel like it works pretty well with the iron sights as well. Some critics of the platform say that that looks an awful lot like an UGG boot. And now that cannot be unseen, so if that's the first time you've seen that, I apologize. So as we saw with the FN SCAR 20S, it has a captive pin here that you can push, which will allow you to remove the butt pad. You can remove the butt pad and see the inside there. You've even got a place to hide. Yeah, so you can swap that for any number of recoil absorbent butt pads or length enhancing butt pads. So that's kind of a nifty feature. You have a sling mount there. It is, of course, a folding stock. It will fire in this position, and you can see that there's adequate room for the rounds to eject out. And it just snaps just like that. Locks in place. So you got a nice little button there. It's held captive actually by the brass deflector here, which is a polymer brass deflector. Going forward on the gun, you've got yet another sling mounting position, both a high and low. There's a sling mount up at the front as well. The gun is an ambidextrous adjacent platform, mostly ambidextrous to say. You have a polymer ambidextrous selector lever, down for fire, up for safe. It is a 45-degree throw. My typical battery of arms with selectors like this is to go down with the thumb for fire and sweep with the index finger for safe. In left-hand format, this is more difficult to use because of the shortened nature. Just as a finer point, we kind of like it to be a little bit longer. But if we use my kind of the way I do this, down for fire, sweep with the trigger finger for safe, it works very well like that. Magazine is a 30-round AR-15 magazine, standard. It's got this nice brown coloration.
P-Mags?
It does take P-Mags and other AR-15 style magazines just fine. The magazine release itself is ambidextrous, very much in the vein of ambidextrous AR-15 magazines. You push in from this side to drop the mag free. The other side is similar to AR-15s that have ambidextrous releases in that this is not a push-in button. It does have kind of this cantilever or lever kind of style, because this was not designed from the ground up in the same way that, say, the ACR was. So it's just a finer point. You have to remember that you cannot push on the front edge of this and have that magazine drop free. You have to kind of push toward the back edge of this because it is more of a lever. Disassembly is super easy with this guy. You simply push on this pin, and it is a captive pin like your AR-15s.
There you go.
And there's your fire control group. Look at that nice little coil spring in there. That's kind of neat. Then your stock comes off, like so. Your recoil spring, charging handle, and your bolt carrier group. The charging handle can be swapped from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. This will give you kind of more AR-15-ish or more AK-ish operation. We're going to be playing with it in that kind of AK battery of arms style today. It just kind of goes in like that. When you slide it forward, it is now captive. Stock simply slides on there. And your lower simply just drops in. Compensator on the front is something, something, something. It is FN branded.
It is. I've got the same one on my SIG 716 Patrol and my AK.
And they're pretty good at sending sound out the sides and disturbing shooters to your left and right.
They are. It's a combo comp flash hider.
And it does pretty okay.
And you can cut wires with it.
You do have removable Picatinny rails up front, as well as underneath. The sights that it comes with are hooded, and both of them can be folded out of the way for optic use.
I would say these are pretty solid backup sights if you...
Yeah, all steel construction. Yeah, and they feel pretty good. The gas system is adjustable by hand without having to use a bullet tip or some special tool. So that's kind of a nifty feature of that. Barrel profile is relatively thin. Kind of nice. I tend to like pencil style barrels. And the trigger is a pretty clean braking single stage. Pretty crisp for a out of the box trigger. Pretty good. Alright, I'm gonna just shoot the steel. Going hot.
You all ready? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Failure to feed?
Failure to feed. Magazine not seated.
Shooter error, boys and girls. You're hitting it. Or at least that last one hit it.
So the recoil impulse is interesting. You can physically see the bolt moving back. It feels different than an AR-15 in that the AR-15 has a buffer tube and you have the buffer moving back, and it doesn't actually hit the furthest reach of that tube. This feels like a more solid recoil. It almost feels like the bolt carrier group is hitting back and then returning, as opposed to hitting until the spring has sufficient force to stop the motion and then spring it forward. It has a very, you see the bolt move back, and it feels like at that point you get a hard stop. It's interesting.
You didn't put it in the center of your chest.
That is a fun gun. It feels really good.
How do you compare the shooting to the AR-15s?
I have to say that the Recoil Impulse is something that would take a little bit of getting used to. It doesn't feel hard. It doesn't hit hard, but it feels different. It feels more AK-ish. So with an AK, you can feel as the action slides to the rear. To describe the AK, and to some extent this, it has kind of a grindy, slidey feel to it. You're like, with the AK, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? You guys at home know what I'm talking about. This has kind of that feel.
I'm going to get to pew-pew it now. So I'll say that the safety is exactly the same on this as it was in the 20. I like it, but I do wish it was longer on the offside. So, personal preference. I do prefer this here, but I kind of wish FN had just put it ambidextrous to begin with.
Agreed.
But right side, if you're going to have it only one side, right side is the place to be. That's personal preference, though. Yeah. All right. I will say one thing, I don't like the catch here. Because as a left-handed shooter, it likes to dig right into my jawbone.
That's the catch for the brass deflector where the stock folds over and locks in.
Hiding from in the grass. There we go. Ejecting magazines is tight. Like they're not gonna free fall, I don't believe. Sorry kids. They're not gonna free fall.
Having that same issue as the Scar 20S. The brass is coming back very, very close and hitting your shoulder.
It is.
Of course, you're a southpaw, but the brass does seem to deflect more rearward than anything.
Yeah, it's definitely deflecting into my shoulder on this one. The P-mags do fall free on this, which is nice.
It's also a little bit heavier of a magazine, too. I would imagine that the 40-round P-mag is a little heavier than a
It is, but at the same time, you can see it's actually stiff to go in there.
Yeah.
Whereas the P-mags just
hot dog down a hallway kind of territory.
Yeah, but it's
yeah,
a little wobbly. I'm not going to argue that, but so is this.
Pretty much anybody that's going to buy one of these is going to probably run some sort of P-mag, because P-mags are awesome.
I haven't found anything that these fit that I didn't like them in. There's nothing wrong with this. It's sticky. I don't know if it'd wear in or not, but that's for somebody else to comment on. But yeah, I don't have a problem with the recoil at all. I actually like it.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just, it's different than an AR-15, wouldn't you agree?
It's been a while since I've shot a straight up AR-15, so it's hard for me to comment. Like, I'm building one right now, but it's not ready to shoot.
Take my word for it. But what I'm talking about is what it does at the tail end of the Recoil Impulse. This feels like it's a dead stop. Maybe it's buffered internally, but it definitely feels different.
Cool.
Serracana. Are you Serracana?
I could be.
So this one we have the bolt on the opposite side.
So you gotta go like this?
Yep.
Or would you
That's
go like
a brass deflector again.
Or would you go like this?
Nope, that's a brass deflector.
But still, you wouldn't. You go like this. Just checking it out. I like how it smokes.
Just breathing it in. Breathe it all in.
Smoke over here, smoke over there. It's perfect. Uh-oh. We're out, guys. This is a fun little gun to shoot.
So I don't think I'm crazy here. And you guys can comment back at home if you have experience shooting the FN SCAR 16S. But to me it feels like when you shoot an AR-15 and you fire the last round and it goes back to bolt, hold, open, that's kind of the recoil impulse that I'm getting from this every shot you fire. Do you think that that's stupid?
Yeah.
It's hot. It's a spicy boy.
It is a spicy boy. I could feel the heat from right there. So this thing is hot, and it's staying pretty hot.
Just like you.
Oh snap. So let's shoot it some more. Am I hitting that basically every time? That was something like ding, 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 ding. All right, drop free.
It ain't coming out. It ain't happening. Get over it.
The thing's there.
Trigger's a little too stiff.
Yeah.
It's not a bad trigger, but it is a little stiff. So we've had no failures to feed, no failures to lock open on an empty bolt.
This thing is pretty solid. It feels really good. The empty weight is really nice. So we just put about 170 rounds through this in the past 10 minutes or so. And what I can say is this baby does get warm up front. So this is all aluminum upper. And the upper is not hot to the touch back here, but getting closer to the bolt, absolutely. Out in front of the barrel, it's hot to touch.
How about that sight?
So you can manipulate the sight, but you would not want to touch the gas block or the barrel at this point for sure, obviously. But the Picatinny rail down here is hot to the touch. So I think that some of those Magpul like ladder style grips on here would be very good. Make this more comfortable, even though the owner has a vertical foregrip on it. And then also right under here where you have kind of like a barrel trunnion or the breech, that actually is very hot right there. So just a minor consideration, but this feels really good. Someone threw the smoke grenades. Someone start playing Fortunate Son and let the helicopter come in.
Right.
The sights work very well. I think that I was hitting a pretty good, I mean, I'm not the best shot. So standing while shooting at about 40 to 50 yards at 6-stage plates and 8-inch steel silhouettes. With these sights, pretty easy to get hits on target. It doesn't take too much concentration. The trigger is pretty good feeling. It's a single stage. It's got a nice crisp break. It's not super lightweight. Bump firing, it doesn't work. Womp womp, makes me sad, because that's always fun to do. But yeah, FN SCAR 16S. So for $3,500, yes, this is quite a bit more expensive than kind of a run-of-the-mill quality AR-15, but you may be like me and a little bit of an FN fanboy. If you've got $3,500 to spend and you want a cool military-style carbine, this might be the ticket for you. It feels really good. I'd like to try it with aim point or ACOG on it. I think that would be a real pleasure to shoot at range. Heck, I'd like to get a magnified optic on here and try shooting it and see what kind of mechanical accuracy it gets. But yeah, all in all, a great package. I would say this is probably not money badly spent if you want a carbine. Thank you for watching Peace, Love, and Guns. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Make sure to click the bell for the notifications so that you can tell when new videos come out and you'll be informed. We want to thank the generous owner of this rifle that let us shoot this today. That's very cool of him. He's let us shoot several guns before that he hasn't even put eyes on yet, and that's really cool. We always like to thank William Briddon and Nicole Briddon of Gray Fox Ranch and Gray Fox Gunsmithing for allowing us to come out and shoot their dirt. And you can find all of the appropriate links down in the doobly-doo below. Thanks for watching. Y'all be good, stay safe, and remember, we love you.